Right, round 2 of the CAF Champions League is upon us, starting tomorrow. A lot of the round 1 was came with some disappointments. My team, Mamelodi Sundowns, lost their game. Sorry, they drew their game to Maniema Union at home. And this is a game I felt Mamelodi Sundowns should have won against a new side that is coming into the Champions League. Guys, welcome to the show. For the first time, I have my people in the studio for us to discuss the CAF Champions League. As usual, I have my man Rozo in the building. Welcome to the studio.
Let's get it going.
Nice one. You like the simplicity of
Charlie.
Right, let's get it going. As usual, I have my man G.H. Amando.
I'm here.
In the building. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
CAF Champions League, African football in general. But then first of all, I'd want us to touch on the issue that is happening in Guinea, where we had some, unfortunate incidents, stampede, where we lost more than 50 people and several others injured in a game that happened, I think more like a community rival teams playing. And unfortunately, some decisions didn't go in favor of one team, and they actually wanted to, do something or beat the referee or something. Yeah. And the police responded with tear gas, and then it caused a lot of stampede. First of all, let's look at it, because this is not an isolated incident. I remember even in Ghana at the Accra Sports Stadium, this is something that has become a yearly event that we commemorate, just to remember these some people who had died in similar instances, and several other places. We've seen pockets of incidents where people beat referees. Those kinds of things, which for me is not palatable when it comes to football. I don't know what your response will be with regards to this particular conversation, briefly before we get into the CAF games.
Well, sometimes the beautiful game can be very ugly. And this is one of such instances when what we call beautiful has gone so ugly. Like you said, it's not an isolated case. Today it's about Guinea, but previously some other places have come into the spotlight for bad reason. And you rightly mentioned about Ghana's case in 2001. Classical between Hattefolk, Santi Kotoko in Accra. Then there were some disturbances following an offside decision or whatever. Ishmaelado having scored a goal for Hattefolk. And then there was some stampede. And there seems to be a certain laid down format that stadium disaster
normally happens.
So you see that there's disagreement with the referee decision, then there is riot in the crowd, then there is stampede, then police officers react by firing tear gas, and then it results in the death of many. So on that occasion, about 26 fans died. Then I think that I also remember in Egypt. In 2012, there was a stadium disaster in Port Said. It was a game between Al Ahly and Al Masry. There was, again, refereeing decision and all that. Then about 79 fans died in Egypt. You understand? Now, even if we'd been beyond the shores of Africa, there was a European Cup final match between Liverpool and Juventus in '85. It's popularly called the Hazel Stadium disaster. So it was a cup final. Then there was also stampede in the stands. So many fans died. But as far as history goes, they say that the biggest stadium disaster in the history of football happened in Peru. The capital is Lima. There was a World Cup qualifying match between Peru and Argentina. And then riots in the stands. Fans began to pelt articles at each other. More than 300 deaths. Deaths. So you see that sometimes we outpour the passion and love we have for football. So it's about managing our emotions and then respecting whatever decisions are taken by the referee.
If you don't agree with it.
If you don't agree, there's a laid down procedure you must take post-game to address your grievances and not to take their laws into your own hands. But you see, it's a multifaceted problem. The referees also have to be up and doing. Sometimes their decisions, Amando, you agree with me, sometimes refereeing decisions are very, very strange, way beyond what the laws stipulate. But, we love the game. We don't have to make it look ugly. in the meantime, what we can tell the people of Guinea is that, I mean, we share in their grief,
pain,
and hopefully going forward, all of us will learn a lesson from this.
Absolutely, and that will be the most important thing, that we learn from it, and then it doesn't repeat anywhere else. Jich, what quickly your thoughts on this particular incident?
Very quickly.
Sad incident.
It's very sad, and like rightly my brother said, it's not something we would love to see in football, because it's a game of love, it's a game of beauty, it's a game of enjoyment. So when this thing happened, it spoils the beauty of it. But let's not forget that most of these incidents start from the referee. Why is it always so? And for me, in as much as they are all humans, but they read the laws and they read the rules of the game, so they don't have to sometimes go astray, because I don't think if that decisions were followed by the rules and the regulations of the game, what happened wouldn't have happened. So for some reasons, some of them try to put in individual interest in it, and it definitely affect a bigger people. So for me, it's unfortunate, and we definitely wouldn't want to see that happening again in football, especially in this part of our world. The tag is already there. That in Africa, our violence in conduct in football is higher, just because we fail to understand some side of the game. And of course, if you disagree, like Rosa said, there's a particular way you have to procedure you can follow, not in this way. So for me, I wasn't really happy hearing, seeing this kind of news and all that. So for me, let's try to be rightful when the time comes. Let's not take decisions into our own hands.
Right. And I totally agree with both of you, because if you look at football has become a part of us. It has become our culture. So we cannot do without this game. And sometimes it's sad when some people take advantage of the situation to, give us some of these bad incidents. Why am I saying this? Right now, we all know some of the things that goes backdoor in our game. People actually, I've forgotten the word. Selling games, selling matches,
match fixing.
Match fixing.
And these are some of the things that result into this, because definitely then you do certain things that are untoward in the game. And it will be clear to everybody that this is not right. And that is where emotions will flare up, and then it will start to cause problems. I'm not sure that if it is a decision of like just a simple discretion, people will be this angry. But then people get angry when the decision is way away from the right thing that is supposed to be done. And we are human beings, and we follow. As I said, football has become a part of us. And the least thing, people are upset, people are angry, people are doing things that are not supposed to be done. And for me, as you said, it's also a way for us to find a way to deal with some of these things. Because at the end of the day, you cannot lose your life just because you disagree with a decision. It's very important we understand that our emotions we need to put a limit to how far we carry our emotions in regards to the game, because you may never know when this will happen. You may never know when your life will be taken, because it just happens like joke, and before you realize it is fired up and everything is happening. And for me, I think it's a sad incident, and our hearts out to those who are who have passed away, and then those who are still in the hospital treating themselves and all of that. But then the bigger picture is that we should learn from this and make sure that we don't repeat such things in our games.
Prince, and you mentioned match fixing. I think it's one of the biggest enemies of football, match fixing. And in the '94 World Cup in the USA, Colombia had a player called Andres Escobar. Escobar. So he scored an own goal. He scored an own goal in the World Cup, and that resulted in the exit of Colombia from the World Cup. Now he goes back home to Colombia in the city of Medellin. He was shot dead because he scored an own goal. And records show that it was because those who killed him had gone into some betting. Betting. They put some huge money. So they lost money because of the own goal he scored. And you can imagine, look, so the one who shot him 12 times. And after each shot, he would say, goal, goal, as he shot him 12 times.
Out of anger.
And he died. So match fixing is a big enemy. Yeah.
It's a big problem. Hopefully, we correct these mistakes as we go forward. But let's get back into the conversation. Last week, as I said, we had some games that happened. Some of the teams were really, really, good at it. Pyramids from Egypt were able to beat Sagrada Esperance by 5-1. And then also Al Ahly, as usual, the defending champions, smashed Stade Abidjan by 4-2. And then Sundowns, my people, drew to Maniema Union.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed, but, I had to take it like that. Esperance also trashed Joliba by 4-0. Orlando Pirates also met Belouizdad and they scored 2 goals. They beat Belouizdad by 2-1, as well as Raja Casablanca lost to Asfar of Morocco by 2-0. So that was round 1 fixtures right there, and the big boys are beginning to take
the
shape. The leads and all of that.
Yeah.
This week we are going to be having some games again. I just wanted to have conversations around the games and then what we think would be made of those games. We're supposed to have 2 games tomorrow, but unfortunately, Joliba and Pyramids has been postponed. But we have Sagrada Esperance facing Esperance of Tunisia. Looking at these 2 teams, Esperance definitely looks like the more experienced side. What do you think would be happening in this particular game against Esperance and Sagrada Esperance?
Well, I think that if you observe the CAF Champions League for some time now, in the last 5 seasons at least, you see that the wave is moving towards Southern Africa and North Africa. Clubs from West Africa are not doing so well. You'll agree with me. It's about they are getting to duopolize it. Southern African countries or clubs and then North African clubs, especially the North African clubs. And the rise in the performance of Southern African clubs has to do with the injection of capital. You don't have money, forget it. You don't have money, forget it. You understand? Right. And maybe we'll come to Pirates and Sundowns and co because they are big boys in this competition. Right. So I think that if you also watch Angolan football, Sagrada Esperance is from Angola. And these clubs in that country, they have gotten, there's a certain interest put into Angolan football by the Angolan government. And that is an oil-rich country. So they derive so much money from these oil companies. And then some of them even sponsor the Girabola League, the Angolan League. Now, clubs like, you also have like Pedro Atletico and the Primeiro Agosto. These clubs get so much money from corporate Angola and then sponsorship deals. And they're able to poach players outside Angola to show up their quality.
So the league is interesting.
And there's money in it. And there's money in it. I mean, you saw the Angola national team against Ghana. I'm not going into that, but you saw the quality of play they exhibited, both in Ghana here and then back in Luanda. You understand? So, but you look at it in another breath. Sagrada and Esperanza and then Esperance of Tunis, it's a lopsided affair in terms of historical antecedents because Esperance from Tunisia, given they have also had a nosedive in their performance this time, because if you check back in the day, they were a huge force. Huge force. I mean, I used to love one striker they had called Ali Zetouni. Ali Zetouni, very, very brilliant striker. He was like the Italian Filippo Inzaghi. You don't normally feel his presence. When you feel his presence, he has scored a goal. Oh, you guys remember Inzaghi? You don't go see him, you don't go see him, but you see him now, he's scoring a goal. And then he'll pale into insignificance again. But for some time now, Esperance they have not been themselves in the competition. They have been taken over by other clubs. Now, that shifts the tie in a bit to the favor of Esperance because they can spring a surprise. It didn't take nothing for them to make it this far. Right. We're talking about match day 2. You understand? And you win your earlier games to consolidate your gains going forward into the competition. In as much as I have a soft spot for Esperance of Tunis, I think that they may have some reality check in this game.
In this particular game.
Because even if you check their performance in the Tunisian league and all that, they seem not to be pulling their weight in recent times. Not only this season. So they are not the Esperance we used to know. They have fallen in terms of standards. And as they fall, other clubs are rising. So, I mean, it's a bit dicey to call. But class may play out at the end of the day, which may mean that Esperance may still be able to pull their weight and beat Esperance from Angola.
Absolutely. Let me come to you.
Yeah, I think if you mention Esperance, you definitely know that, and if you follow football, African football as well, you know that it's a big name in CAF Champions League as well. If you mention them aside Al Ahly and Ali and
maybe Zamalek,
TP Mozambique.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm talking about those teams that have dominated the CAF Champions League for some time. So aside these two teams, I think Esperance is another team that has also won the CAF Champions League 4 times.
Right.
And I think it tells you that those in the days they were big boys. But like Russo said, now football is everywhere, and in Africa it's the same thing. And if you look at the foundation other teams are building now, the name doesn't really matter.
Right.
So if you are a big team, if you are a big name, you have to do your homework very well before beating
you.
Exactly. So for me, I don't think it's going to be an easy game for Esperance. Sagrada have the quality, and then there's something we call if you have the money to actually
the purchase power.
not exactly.
Okay.
To actually give to your players so that they will feel motivated.
Okay.
So if you have the motivation, definitely you have a different feeling and different. We call it vim in over here. So for me, I think it's going to be a very dicey game. Esperance will have to do their homework well before they'll be able to overcome this side. Yeah.
Well, for me, looking at what Esperance did in the game against Joliba in the first round, I mean, trashing Joliba by 4-0. I think Esperance have an upper hand, and also, I mean, talking about the experience in the competition is also a key, part of everything. Yeah. So I think that generally Esperance have an upper hand over what's the name? Sagrada Esperanca. So for me, I think Esperance will definitely be winning by 3-0 in this particular game. Possibly 3-1. What's your prediction on this particular?
I don't see it so easily like that.
Right.
I see a draw in this.
A draw.
Because they are not the Esperance we used to know. So for me, if there will be a win, maybe a slight one win, but I don't see them,
beating
them. No.
We'll come back here.
Yes.
Right. Rosa, what would be your prediction?
Slim win for Esperance.
Yeah,
slim win for Esperance.
Slim. What does slim means to you?
Well, it could be a 1-goal difference.
One.
No matter how many goals are scored, it could be a 1-goal difference.
I say a 3-0-3-1 win. Right. Now let's look at Maniema Union facing Raja Casablanca. Another more like a new team facing an older or a big boy in the CAF Champions League. First of all, your general assessment of these two teams and what you see happening in this particular
I think
game.
another lopsided affair. Lopsided. And it's even more of a lopsided affair than the Sagrada Esperanza versus... because, Raja, and there's one trait that comes with the North African clubs. Check them and then you would find that virtually all North African clubs have players with good height and good physique and frame. They are that physically fit.
Right.
And that's an added advantage to their stock going into every game. And they also have some antics to outwit you when the going gets tough. When they see that, unlike how they had expected you to come at them, you are doing way, way better. Then they employ some other tactics to undo your strengths. And that also plays into what happens towards the dying embers of the game, especially if they are leading by a lone goal or 2 goals or something. If they have the lead, and then it's about getting to full time, you will see delay tactics, and you guys know this. That's one thing. And the other thing has to do with they seem to get so emotional and angry when it's not going according to script. When they find that the opponent is really being stubborn and all that, they get angry, and sometimes they pick quarrels with the officials in these games. And for me, these are extra antics they employ to outwit their opponents. But I don't think Raja would have to travel that extent to beat Joliba. I think
Maniema.
Right. I think they would beat Maniema with some strength to spare. Yeah, it's a game of football. It could go either way. But sometimes the dynamics change according to the situation. I think Raja are heads and shoulders above. But you do not take credit from Maniema. I mean, they must have done something right to merit a game against Raja. You understand? And so Raja must not think that it's all rosy for them in this game. There could be a sting in the tail.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I have a different opinion. I definitely, if you look at the first round of games, Maniema took the game to Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be an easy game for Raja.
Okay.
So, but if experience is going to take part, I think they have an upper hand. But like I always say, now football is everywhere. So to be able to reach this level, it tells you that they've done something right that gets them here.
Right.
So I definitely, in as much as I want to see Raja, rising, because they are one of those teams that we love to see.
There.
Yeah, exactly. So if they go find the competition, that's where the money is going to be, different level. But Maniema, like I said, did so well in the first game, and I expect them to give Raja a tough time. Yes, I expect them to give them a tough time.
Right. For me, I think Maniema, they are a very stubborn club. Exactly. If you watch that game against Mamelodi Sundowns, in the first half, they made sure they frustrated Sundowns. In the second half, they came all out. They almost beat Mamelodi Sundowns in South Africa. Yeah. So this is a relatively new club that is doing very well. If you go to the Congolese league, they are top of the league after 7 or 8 games in that particular league. And so for me, I think that it is one of those things that, as you said, football now is everywhere. Your past glories alone might not be able to, keep helping you.
Exactly.
So for me, I think even if Raja would win this particular game, it's just going to be tough for them. But we can't overall rule out experience as well.
Yes, exactly.
So I think that for me, this particular game is going to be tough. It's going to be a game to watch out for. And the coach of Maniema is like he's somebody you love. So I think that Maniema is going to give Raja a run of for their money. So I see this game ending in probably a 2-1 or a 1-1 draw. But Raja can slightly outwit Maniema if they really put play their cards very well. So I see a 2-1 relatively in this particular game.
Prince, Sundowns versus Maniema. I wasn't entirely surprised about what happened.
Okay.
Because if you look at it in one angle, it was a game of equals, not in terms of class and pedigree, but in terms of playing style. South African clubs have got skill. They're able to move the ball admirably well. They pass it very well, and they ring circles around their opponents. It's a similar style to what happens in Congo. And Maniema are also doing very well in the Congolese league currently. And so, because of the similarity in their styles, it was difficult for Sundowns to have that X factor to outwit them. So I foresaw that, even though Sundowns may have that class and pedigree and all that, but beating Maniema was going to be difficult because they virtually have the same plan, the same style. It would take something extraordinary. That's why they did so well against Sundowns. But against Raja, you are coming up against a club that plays quite differently from you. You understand? And so you may have 100% surety on your style, but you don't know what's up with them. You understand? So that is how I look at this game, and I think that Raja will have an advantage over them, but this is football.
Right. What will be your scoreline for this? Your prediction for this particular game?
Healthy scoreline, healthy win for Raja.
Healthy win.
Yeah. I want to run away from pinpointing scoreline. I think Raja will have a very healthy win.
So when you say healthy,
a good margin.
3-0.
It doesn't mean Maniema can't score. They can score
3-1, 5-1.
Just a healthy win,
like Chelsea. Like what happened in the
against
game
Southampton.
Right. Let me come to your.
Well, I don't see Raja winning
by a healthy margin.
No, it's going to be a slight win. If they even have to win.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be a slight.
1-0, 2-1. Okay, so let's. I'm with you. We are together on this one.